How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at R.L. Stine's Stuff of Nightmares number 3. And overall, this is once again another really fun issue. The plot moves really fast, and there's a ton of wacky and crazy stuff happening every single time. Overall, this is a really fun book. It's one that I realized when I saw it on the store shelves, I kind of lit up a little bit. I was like, oh yeah, let's see what's going on with this one. And plus, I think next time around is actually the final one for this plot arc, so next time we get the conclusion and we get to see what happens, how this all wraps up. But also, hopefully, I think we're going to get a new story after this. I would love to see Stuff of Nightmares become this big thing with hundreds of stories. I would love to see it go on for a long time. Really become something like Goosebumps or something where you get a good proper anthology. Overall, really, really cool. No spoilers for this issue, but in regards to the last one, spoilers for 1 and 2. In the end of the last issue, the one brother killed the other one. He says, oh, it was an accident, I really didn't mean to, but that excuse is wearing a little thin, not a flaw against the story, just showing you what kind of guy the character is, and you begin to see, just how much of a little evil creep he is, but he's going to save his brother by putting his brain into the creature so that he can live in some form. And I have to say, that's a really good thing with pacing, is we're getting to issue 3, it starts at the halfway point of the series, and we're just now getting the Frankenstein monster proper. But that being said, even though it wasn't until the halfway point that the actual creature shows up, I was never, impatiently waiting for the good stuff. So that is a really good thing with the pacing, is that the creature didn't show up for the first half, but I was still glued to it. And also, I realized, talking about this series, looking at what it's doing, I really realized this is a really good example of reinventing tropes, because you look at this book and what the Monster Maker series is doing, and it's got a lot of stuff we've seen before in Frankenstein movies and Reanimator movies. It's got a lot of tropes. It's got that tropey charm behind it, but they're constantly reinventing and constantly surprising me. And there's so many times where things happen that I'm like, of course that would happen. Why didn't I think of this? And overall, if you're fans of classic monsters and want a good Frankenstein story, this is a really good Frankenstein story. Now I'm kind of wondering if the other issues of Stuff of Nightmares, if we could get R.L. Stine to go through and reinvent all the classic monsters, that would be really fun. I hope that there is an issue 5. I hope this does keep going, and I really want to see what comes next. But man, super excited for this issue, but also I really want to see how it ends. This is, like a lot of mad scientist movies, I'm feeling this is going to end in an absolute glorious mess, crazy monster stuff and shenanigans everywhere. And yeah, I don't know. This is a book that, I first read it, I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool, but I think over the course of these issues, I am falling for it more and more. So yeah, really fun as always. Definitely recommend it. Now, if you guys want to see a little bit more of the book, I'm going to avoid the major spoilers, but if you want to take a little peek inside, see some of the story and some of the art, I'm going to go ahead and switch to the close-up camera. We'll take a closer look at this book and, yeah, see what's up with it. Anyway, without further ado, to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside of the castle, taking a closer look at Stuff of Nightmares number 3. Bringing it closer to the camera, we see the Boom Studios logo, the number 3, R.L. Stine and A.L. Kaplan. We also see the Francavilla, his signature. He put it on the label for one of these jars. And this is a really nice cover. Now, I do want to say, maybe I should have noticed this sooner. Main cover by Francesco Francavilla. Right now I'm reading one of his books, Night of the Ghoul. A really fun sort of classic, monster type deal where this guy is like a film archivist and he's trying to find the director of this mostly lost movie, and we go back and forth between reality and the movie. But yeah, his artwork with these really bright, striking colors. This is a pretty cool looking book, the red of the brain coming into the cords and the blood. Very classic monster, really does describe what happens in the issue, the lightning behind the brain. This is a really nice cover, the cool perspective leading you up this triangle shape. Really, really cool, definitely like it. Classic mad scientist beakers and stuff. But anyway, after that, the back once again has the hand, even though, the hand was the first object from this story and not, they don't change. I wonder if it will change when we get into the next story arc. But anyway, The Monster Makers, Part 3, created and written by R.L. Stine, illustrated by A.L. Kaplan, and there's the rest of the credits. I do love the little piece of the collection at the bottom. Anyway, after this we're going to go into the story a little bit. I'll be avoiding the major spoilers, but I do want to talk a little bit about what happens. So, without further ado, let's jump into the story. And of course, we get the aftermath from last time. They're in the lab, he's dead, and she's screaming, "What have you done?" And he's going to fall back on that. It's an accident thing, so yeah, parrying responsibility as much as he can. But after that, we go into the Nightmare Keeper section. And I do like these cold openings, and I like how the Nightmare Keeper is a good way to recap what's going on. It may seem odd in a trade, keep cutting back to this guy, so I hope they keep the chapter divisions intact in the trade. Otherwise, it would seem quite weird jumping back to him. But yeah, they do make more sense in a single issue. But this time around, because he has a new artifact each time, it's a knife and fork from the Donner Party. And I do like, he says, "I'll never have them cleaned," so you see how maniacal he is. But going in right there, a good bit of classic Frankenstein gore without going too gory and over the top. But yeah, we get the classic monster making scene. And I do like this page where they're scooping the brain out, and then this panel at the bottom where it's a tight fit, but I can do it. The idea that his brain is too big, but we're gonna just stuff him in there. Oh man, that's just that's just a little detail that R.L. Stine puts in that makes it the fact that they have to squeeze the brain in, that's cool. But of course, we know the deal. Shock the monster, bring him back to life, and there's a cool panel of him looking down. "Jordan, can you see me? Open your eyes." Fun stuff. This is the Frankenstein scene that, if you're doing a Frankenstein book, you really have to do. However, his brother, it's not the best of reunions for them, and as you can imagine, a struggle ensues. And I do like the Reanimator green, that very specific callback of a lime green from the Reanimator poster. I love, it's an Easter egg, but it's a subtle Easter egg. It's just a color, but yeah, that is definitely the Reanimator green. Really cool. Anyway, there is a bit of a struggle. He does eventually calm down, and after that we get a check-in with all the zombies the brothers made. They are on a fishing boat eating all the fish, and they say they must find the brothers. There's also a brief check-in with the cops, but it's literally one page. I have a feeling they'll probably, come in towards the end, so you have to remind us who they are, but the cops aren't the biggest characters in this story by any means. But we do get this fun scene where after they calm him down, the Igor-like character, or Fritz if we're going with the first movie, says that he's really sorry about what happened to him and that he's on his side, so kind of, what side does he pick? How can he be of help? But they put him in Frankie's room, and the little kid goes up to him, and you get the classic line about how the other brother is really the monster, but the monster is going to be ringing in his head. And I do love this scene here where the cobweb and then monster, and then Frankie, am I a monster? I monster? And I do like, you get the two perspectives of, him wondering if he's a monster, but then this little, baby that is asking himself such a deep moral question. And this is one of the first times we ever hear him say anything other than, help me. So Frankie is opening up, finally seeing someone who's in a similar predicament to him, but when he's finally opening up and asking a question, this is what he asked. And yeah, Frankie was a cool mascot for this series. He was a fun character, but having him ask these questions and now starting to talk a little bit and forming a relationship with the protagonist, it really does do a whole bunch to define him and make him really interesting. And yeah, I have to say, like I said about this book, having one of its strong suits be reinvention, in very few movies is it where the main character, the protagonist, becomes the Frankenstein monster, but also having two Frankenstein monsters in here. That is, like I said, there's so many classic tropes from Frankenstein and Reanimator, but they blended up in a way that, even though it is classically tropey, keeps me very interested. But anyway, between the girl, Stella, the evil brother, the Igor character, we are going to get them sort of plotting against each other, and yeah, a few things happen, and some very interesting stuff, but I don't want to spoil any more of the book than that. But yeah, I don't know, this is a book that I liked before, but getting into the third of 4 chapters, getting this far in and seeing everything heat up and the characters going in really interesting ways, yeah, this is the chapter where I think I really fell for it. But anyway, the very end of this book does have a to be concluded, so this, the next issue will be the last one for the Monster Makers, and I really am hoping that this continues where, like, every 4 issues we get a new plot, and I would love to see a nice little line of Stuff of Nightmares books. We had all these Goosebumps books. Man, if we get a nice little line of Stuff of Nightmares books, a whole series, maybe even run as long as Goosebumps did, that would be fun. So overall, I really do like this book, and I would definitely recommend checking it out. And if you haven't picked it, I don't know why you'd listen to all this review, especially because I spoil the first 2 issues, but if you haven't picked it up yet, or if you think someone might like it, yeah, definitely, especially because I can imagine the trades will come out relatively soon after 4. I'd say pick it up. But anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. how about my R.L. Stine playlist? I talked about the past issues of this book, but I also talked about the Fear Street movies when they came out, so you can see both those things in the R.L. Stine playlist down there. So if you want to see more, that's a good place. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Stine playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.